Oh, welcome back to the Space Engineers Beginner's Guides. Now, if you recall last episode we went through the basics of what the grid was, accessing the terminal of the grid using through a little terminal interface here, or a control panel. We also set up our antenna and an ore detector and a beacon, so that we can actually start seeing what's going on around us. Now, you notice we've got no HUD, we've got no displays. And we can turn those on. A tab will actually cycle us through our HUD. There's two different modes of HUD. Heads-up display. There is the one that shows all the different buttons you can press for doing things. You notice the J, X, 0, L, O, L on the left-hand side there above those icons, and so on. Second time you press the tab key, there is nothing displayed. And I've actually not turned anything on. Let me just change this. There we go. Now you should be able to see what I'm looking at. Okay. We started out with no HUD, just like this. So just rewind my previous dialogue. There's our control panel to access our grid. There's our antenna and our ore detector, and by pressing tab we can now bring up our heads-up display, or HUD, with all the letters to access the different things. J for to put our helmet mask, our face mask down. With it down we use oxygen internal. With it off we use the atmosphere that we're in. X for our jetpack, and we'll turn our jetpack off. X again, and we fall back down. O to enable broadcasting, or to disable broadcasting, as we discussed last episode when it came to our antenna here. L to turn our light on and off, as we can see. Z, or Z depending on what part of the world you're in, to turn our inertial dampness off. Now we can highlight that most with our jetpack. We turn our jetpack on. If we thrust up, we keep going up. If we stop thrusting up, we'll fall back down. Gravity takes hold. There is nothing to actually stop us from falling back down, even though our jetpack is actually on and operational. That is where inertial dampeners come into play. If we turn that on and we thrust up and stop thrusting, they will actually hold us in place. Very useful. Also, if you have a look in the middle of the screen, underneath our toolbar icons, we've got T and we've got N. T is an auto rotate feature for blocks. I'm not overly familiar with that. I don't mess with that one. I haven't played around with it myself. N I have used. That is symmetry mode. N turns symmetry mode on and off. That's what the icon indicates. Left and right are the same, with the dotted line in the middle to indicate a mirror effect. Symmetry mode we'll get to at a later stage. Very useful for building very symmetrical type craft or objects or bases and things like that. Progressing further over on the right hand side of our heads up display, we've got P and O and Y. Y and O and P. They relate to connected vessels. If we're in a pilot seat or a flight control seat or in a cockpit, then P, O and Y come into play there, and we'll get more into those as is required when we get to those items, when we have a ship to actually hop into. Now, we've set up a basic refinery. We've got some power storage and additional power generation. So let's get into actually doing some mining, I think. So, as you can see, our little white icons here show us where there are some resources, thanks to our ore detector on the roof. And I think we'll start off with uranium. It's very essential, actually, if you're going to actually build any form of reactors for powering your base, then uranium is what is going to be required. We're just trying to find the nearest point under the surface where we can actually start mining down 87, 86, 85, 84 meters seems to be it. No, we're going down. 83.7 appears to be. Boy, that's a long way down. However, we're in creative. We don't have to be mining. We don't have to go and get resources. But for purposes of demonstration, we'll do so. Now, I think I recall mentioning we actually have got two different modes of operation for our equipment. We've got our left click. Let me just face up here. The left click and right click. For all intents and purposes, they look very similar. If you notice, left clicking and pushes the drill forward. Right clicking and doesn't, just turns it on. That's just a little visual indication of the difference. If you right click and drill, it removes material, leaves nothing behind. It simply just removes material. If you left click and drill, it will leave behind nodules or nodes or little blobs, if you will, of resource, whether it be ice, because we're on an ice lake at the moment. If you're on ground, it'll be stone or stone types. Once you're in a resource like uranium in this case, then you'll be leaving little blobs or nodules of uranium ore behind that you can then pick up. You can press F, your activate button, to actually pick those up. But for now, we need to mine nearly 84 meters down. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our right click drilling so that it removes material and leaves nothing behind. But rather than clicking and holding our right mouse button and having to hold it down the entire time, we can actually just double click the right mouse button, just like that. And now you'll see that the drill is just constantly running. It will keep constantly running and it will keep removing material until we either left click or right click, in which case it turns off. Now you can do the same thing for the actual mining operation, the left click. If you double click it like that, it keeps operating, and everything it comes in contact with, it will start generating usable resource, whether it be ice, stone, or ore. If you're mining through an ore, it will start generating and eating away at that particular resource and generating those nodules of resource that you can then pick up again until you press any key. Now in this case we're going any mouse button. In this case we're going to use our right mouse button because we don't want any excess of materials, and we're going to mine down. Now since we're going to be mining straight down, and to make sure that we actually do continue to fall straight down, I find that just a very gentle sway motion back and forwards like this, in my case it saves actually moving, but it stops the character from actually hanging on the voxel distortions or the voxel hole as it gets created, and we fall dead straight down. So we can create a nice perpendicular hole straight down. So we'll just turn our drill on. There we go. Face downwards. There we go. And slowly come back upwards. And if you notice, we just get drilling straight down. Now this won't take very long to actually get to our destination. It is surprisingly fast at how quickly this drills, and we've hit our rock level, so that's after about 20 meters roughly. Still got 55 meters to go. Okay, down to 40 meters to go, so we're halfway there. Or a little over halfway actually. Now uranium is a black resource. The ore itself is very black, so we'll be able to see it as soon as we reach that particular layer. Hopefully the vein is quite a deep vein, or a thick vein I should say. It gives us some usable uranium, but even a small amount is better than none. And there it is. There we go, that's all uranium. Okay, if we look back up the hole, as you see, a nice straight hole that we've just come down. Now, to give ourselves some room to work, we'll just clear out a little bit of a circular area. Again, I'm just using the right the right function of our drill. Let's just remove the material just above the actual vein. There's the vein on the floor there. And that opens up a nice area which we can actually work with. Now you notice it looks like we're right on the edge of the vein here. Let's just check that. Yes, it does look as if we're right on the edge of the vein. Oh, that looks a bit funny, as you can see. But that can actually work to our advantage too. It makes it easy to access the side face when it comes to actually creating usable or nodules, blocks, pieces that you can actually then pick up. There we go. Alright, that's probably enough to start with. So now we change over to our left click, and as you can see it's generating a nice little nodule there, so we'll just left click a few of these. In fact, let's just double click on our left, and then we can just plow through it like this. Okay, well, look, it's also generated some stone. Stone is useful. A small quantity of stone is useful in order to create nuclear reactors and create the reactor component parts for it. You do need a little bit of refined stone, which is actually turned into gravel. Without that you can't actually create those reactor components, so we will grab a little bit as it comes up. Okay, that looks good. Now you can just press and hold the F key on your keyboard, and then just move your cursor, your crosshairs over top of the items, and that will automatically pick them up as they actually cross the crosshairs. So you don't have to individually press the button each time. You can just press and hold it. In fact, you can just press and hold whilst you are drilling, and a large portion of the items you create with your drill will automatically get picked up, as you can see. Now we are in creative mode, so we actually have no inventory limits, so we could do this all day actually, and we would still be able to pick everything up. In an actual survival game you do have limits, and those limits are actually defined in the advanced settings, whether it be normal size, normal size inventories, whether it be 3 times inventories, or whether it be 10 times inventories. Yes, believe me, hang on to that. Normally 12k is in excess of what you can actually carry when it comes to using a 10 times inventory limit, but for now that's probably fine. We don't need any more than that at this stage. So jetpack on, and let's just scoot back up this hole. The advantage of a nice straight hole. Now, so we can find it at a later stage, we'll just sit right at the top of the hole here, and we'll create a GPS coordinate. So we press K to bring up our terminal, go over to GPS, and just like we did for the iron rock, we go new from current position, which is exactly where we are. We click on the item that's created, and we'll mark that as uranium mine. And that way we can actually find it at any time later on. Since we are, where's our home base? There it is. It's 121 meters away. Now, most ore resources, if you put them straight into a container that is connected via conveyors to a refinery, the refinery will actually automatically pull those resources into themselves. So here's our container, large cargo container 2. We'll put the stone in there, and it should vanish. It should vanish, there we go. And as you notice, it went straight down here and became gravel. And same with uranium. If we put our uranium in there, it will get dragged in, and there we go, we're generating uranium. Now, as for our iron ingots and gravel, we'll just drag them back up here into our container. And we'll adjust that. Uranium's rather slow to refine, so we'll just let that sit there and refine, and that will give us a nice supply of uranium for those reactors that we build sometime down the track, whether it be reactors here on our base or reactors we put into a vessel, whether it be a land-based vehicle or a spaceborne vehicle. Reactors are good to put in. You can't actually build a vehicle without having a reactor, whether it be a small reactor or a large reactor. The reactors power things like conveyor systems. You might be able to create a vessel that's using hydrogen power for its thrusters, but you will still need to put a reactor in there to power all the other items, whether it be a cockpit, whether it be the conveyors to actually make sure that the hydrogen gets from your oxygen generator to your hydrogen powered engines to your hydrogen storage tank. Electrical energy is required, whether it be a battery or a reactor, or you can even just put a solar panel on your ship, but then you're at risk of actually having a lack of power when it comes to night time when the sun's not out. But all resources are the same when it comes to mining, and having an ore detector like we've got up on our roof up there is quite useful. You can also put a smaller version of the ore detector onto small craft, and that lets you fly around and check out different deposits. And in fact, we might even create one of them quickly right now. So let's just find new tab. There we go. Bring up our toolbar config with G. Now we need landing gear, a building block, a cockpit, a gyroscope for stability, ore detector and antenna, cargo to actually store it. Now medium cargo is the best one for a small grid ship, which is what we're about to build. You can potentially put drills onto your ship so that your ship itself can actually drill into the ground. That can be a bit problematic. It depends on where you put the drills, of course. What else do we need? Small conveyors so we can conveyor things up and connect them all. And I think that actually might be enough. Oh no, we need some engines. Now, hydrogen is rather expensive and you need a rather large hydrogen tank to be able to power them, not to mention an oxygen generator. Ion are very inefficient within atmosphere and with gravity of a planet, but atmospheric thrusters or jet engines are the best ones for this scenario. Okay, so we'll just close that and we'll start with landing gear. No, we don't want the big ones, we want the little ones. There we go. And okay, we'll do that. 3 cockpit. No, that's what we want. Come here. Oh, it's not wanting to do. Come on. Okay, that's better. We'll just put a gyroscope up there for now. Oh, we forgot a reactor. I just finished talking about reactors and we actually forgot to pick a reactor. So let's grab a large reactor for this type of vessel. That is a large reactor. On a big grid like this, that is the large reactor. As you can see, a quite substantial size difference. That's a 3x3x3. This is also a 3x3x3, but it's actually on a small grid size, which is quite substantially smaller. So we'll put that there. We'll put in a cargo. That one there. Oh dear. That's going to make it difficult. Okay. That is actually rather annoying. It's not letting us go away then. Let's try that again. Let's put our reactor in again. Okay. Cargo 7. And it's not going to give us a point that we can latch onto. Just, yeah, look, it does on top. That's nice. Not. I really hope that with the next minor fix that they actually, minor release, they actually fix that, because it's rather annoying when you cannot actually attach items. Yeah, I can stick it on the side, but I can't on this side, but I can on this side. So obviously some of the hitbox geometry for connectors is actually a little bit out of whack. So yes, I hope to actually fix it up in the next build. Let's just make a weird design, and normally I'd put a connector on the back here as well. Connector is useful for docking it up to a base to unload resources. We actually don't have one of those on this base, so I'm going to forego actually adding that in. Trying to fake it. Wow, symmetry is really off the whack. Okay, well we've faked getting that in. Don't like having to fake it, especially when I'm trying to show you the method of being able to use things. Here we go. There, we'll get rid of that. So now ooh, big ominous hissing sound. So I wonder what the heck that was supposed to be. That's alright. Okay. Well, we put it where I wanted it. We just had to put a platform for it to actually attach to, and even now, if you notice, it's not wanting to. I can't actually put this little block on anything here. So anyway, that said, we need thrusters now. So we're going to, yeah, we'll put that there. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's great. Let's just get rid of everything. Yeah, it still is a beta game. It still does have a few little problems. But, oh, stop. There we go, that's that. And we put that back there, that's good. Now, thrusters. I'm not actually going to worry about that one. Big thrusters. I guess they're lifters. Lifters. Now, what do we want? We want some forward thrusters. How am I going to put them in here? Let's just put one up on top here. Yeah, that will. It's not pretty, but it'll work. As for slowing down, let's put some. Oh, stop that. Very touchy. We'll just put some two small forward thrusters, so we'll not slow down as fast as it can speed up, but it will do the job. Okay, now we need left and right thrusters as well. Oh my goodness, Keen, hurry up and fix this. No. No, that's not going to work there. Or there. Crying out loud, what a tedious way of having to do things. Well, this is the most ugliest of ships I've created, people. But I suppose as long as it lets us do what we have to do. One there as well, and one there. Okay, it gives us left and right, up, no down. It gives us forward. Do we want it down? Gravity seems to do a pretty good job of pulling us down anyway. We got forward and reverse. That do. We have no gyroscope. Yes, we do. Excellent. We have no detector. Detector 5. Oh, come on. There's that risk of being burnt off. It's pretty close to that thruster. But we'll see how it goes anyway. And that. Well, we got everything on there eventually. Now we can jump in here. We have no lights. We'll put our landing gear. Now I'm just clicking and dragging it down onto our toolbar. In this case we want a switch lock, which means we can go from locked position to unlocked position. We can wait for it to come up saying standby, which means it's close to a surface it can lock onto, and then we can manually press the button to lock that. As for our thrusters, we go into our terminal menu, find all our thrusters, and we'll select them all. And just like in Windows, it's just control clicking to select them individually, and we're actually going to give them a group name called thrusters. And my caps lock's on. Here we go. Thrusters. Now we can manipulate that entire group, and if we come back into our toolbar config menu, we can go over to groups, and we can see this group called thrusters. It shows us no icon because it's a mix of small and large thrusters, but when we put it down onto our toolbar here, it shows us just the generic thruster icon. Now that lets us turn our thrusters on and off, as you can see, off and on. We can see that that is on at the top there. If we turn them off, then on. Okay, now V is the key I just pressed to go from first person, which is what we're in here now. As you can see, we're looking around the cockpit. Yay, lovely. Or we can press V and go into third person, and again press and hold our Alt key. We can then move our mouse around and we rotate. The camera now rotates around our character so we can see it from different angles in third person, and we'll occasionally snap to the actual view. We can also, whilst holding our Alt key, use the wheel on our mouse to zoom in and out. So that for that broader scene we can pull right out, or we can zoom right in. Okay, but we'll go back into first person. Now, no, actually, so we can see what we're doing. Go back into third person, move to the side. Now when I press number 1, our landing gear's gone from green to yellow. Yellow, as you can see on our toolbar there, it means it's ready to lock, and notice it's automatically gone to green again. That's because it is actually set by default to auto lock. So it will detect that it's near a surface it can connect to, and will automatically lock onto that surface. That's useful at times, can be problematic at others. I've myself turned that off. I like to be able to choose when my gear is going to lock onto something. So now we can turn it off and it will just stay yellow. You notice on the toolbar it says ready, the full statement is ready to lock. And I believe that's even what it shows in here. Yes, ready to lock, is lock state. when it's yellow like that, you can now press 1 and it will lock on. Press 1 again and it unlocks it. Right, so spacebar, just like our character, spacebar goes up, C to go back down, WASD to move around. Forward is W, reverse is S, and we'll just back right off a bit here. And then we've got A to go left, and D to go right. So now we've got a nice little ship that's got an ore detector, it's got an antenna, and it lets us actually zoom around. There we go, we can now go and check out some of these other deposits and see what sort of ore there is. Now, you do need to be careful. It's very easy to crash your ships because they can accelerate a lot faster than what you're expecting, and they do not handle like a normal aircraft. They actually handle probably closer to a helicopter, and will tend to drift a lot if you don't check their momentum or their motion in a particular direction at least. Oh, look, we've got iron. That's lovely. So yes, you don't fly at high speed too near to some mountains. And we just hit the ground really hard. Fortunately nothing broke. Not paying attention. Yes, you don't fly too close to a cliff face like that over there and then do some high speed manoeuvring to try and avoid it. You most likely will slam straight into the side of the rock face, because the ship does not perform like an aircraft, it does perform more like a helicopter, and there is a lot of drift in its motion. It doesn't change direction very quickly. That's the joy of it. You can actually use that to your advantage sometimes. As you can see, it's drifting sideways quite a lot there. And you notice I just stuck my nose to the ground, quite down to the ground. That was because I was actually throwing the 4 large engines up into the direction of travel I was just going. That utilises their power to very, very quickly slow yourself down. The inertial dampeners, as we've discussed previously, they come into play to actually try and control the direction your ship is going based on your new heading. But you can help them along sometimes by turning the biggest engines you've got to the direction you're wanting to change from, and that will very quickly slow you down. As an example, if we face this way and accelerate real fast, we'll get up to 100 meters a second, and if I all of a sudden stick my nose straight up in the air, you notice that I slowed down a lot quicker than it took me to actually get up to that speed. And that's because there's 4 engines working to actually slow me down, as opposed to just the 1 engine I was using to accelerate. So it can be a very quick way of being able to slow yourself up. Utilising the engines of your ship itself. Like that. And there we go. But well, we built ourselves a nice little scout ship, something we can scoot around with and check out the different types of ores and different types of ore deposits. So I'm going to stop this beginner's guide at that stage. We've gone over the basics of building a ship, and I'm hoping that Keen will actually fix that placement issue with the next minor release as we head towards the weekend. But for now, thank you for tuning into the beginner's guide, and I look forward to talking all about Space Engineers and highlighting some of the functions and usefulness of the different tools in another episode next time. So thank you for dropping by, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.